Welcome to the CCW Save podcast. I am Rob High here in Oklahoma City, joined by my co-host Phil Naiman. Phil's out in California right now, and finally back in the flesh, we got our Chief Operating Officer, founder of CCW Safe, one of the co-founders,
That's
Stan
right.
Campbell. Stan, it's so
Hello.
good to have you back, brother.
Hello, Rob,
Hello,
Phil,
hello.
and
Great
our
to see you,
wonderful
Stan.
audience. You said you love to see me, right?
I do, and it's great to see you.
Okay. It's good to see you too. Yes, but it's been a minute. I haven't been on in a while, but glad to be back. Got a lot of good stuff going on with CCW Safe. But I think Kent did a podcast with you recently about all the new improvements, right?
He did. He did all the upgrades and new terms of service. It's something that, without having been actually kind of hands-on part of that, I never would have dreamt what a headache it was to increase benefits for people. But we're super excited to have that done, and it's kind of separated us from everybody. There is nobody
Absolutely.
out there that can compete with us right now. So
Yeah, and it took us about 6 months to come up with that package and decide, which direction we would go in, and make improvements and and benefit increases like you stated. It's important for us to just to keep trying to find new things to, provide the members, so that they're covered that much more. And I mean, we're not all the way topped out yet, but we're getting pretty close. There's nobody that can touch the benefits list that we have.
no.
I'm really, really happy with what we've done.
And we've already just taken the lid off anybody as far as being able to compete with us as far as the service end.
Absolutely.
Yeah, our response, if you're involved in an incident, is absolutely in a league of its own. So really, really honored and happy to be a part of that team, but to work for a group of men that are always looking to find ways to make it even better for our members. Is, we started this thing out, you and Mike, back 10, 11 years ago, really pressing to make this kind of comparable to what was available to on-duty law enforcement officers, and it is nothing like that now. We've surpassed what is available to them, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. Really proud of it, Rob. I am. It's been a long journey, and with the support of those nationally that choose CCW Safe to be their partners, when they have their second fight, which is that legal battle following a self-defense incident. I mean, we can't do it without them, of course, but we are really proud to offer what we offer. But
I think it comes down to, this package is the most awesome, the best, the greatest thing you hope you never have to use in your life, right? It's going to be the shiny baubles, like, wow, it's really great that's there. I hope I never have to use this thing.
yeah, but we're here
It's
to
there,
talk about
but it's there.
a lot of people using it. And
Yeah.
I think today's discussion is going to be about how to best align, how the members could best align themselves with the services and benefits without stepping outside those boundaries and those lines. Because no matter how awesome we are, we can't cover everything. And sometimes, it's a small number, but sometimes, people with firearms become their own worst enemy. And that's what we're here for. I sit as the chair of the coverage committee, and we go over these things individually, as they come in, and some of them are really questionable in reference to the actions of the members, and we do everything in our power to help them out and to do what we can to cover them. But we're going to discuss some things today that absolutely outside the boundaries of coverage, and so that you guys are informed again and make sure that you don't get yourselves in trouble. Right, Rob?
Absolutely. We get so many questions daily. Our customer service team does, and there's a lot of those they can't answer that they forward on to Gary and myself. There's times that Gary and I don't have the answers, and we forward them on up the chain through the administration. So, but there's some of them that are kind of go without saying. One of the ones, and I shared with Stan this week, we had a gentleman call in. He said, yes, I've been involved in an incident. I had to defend myself. I'm a member. I'm not sure I'm a member. I thought I had US Law Shield, and I called them and they said, no, call CCW Safe. And so even if I don't have you guys, if I back paid, would you cover me? And that's like saying I buy a new car and I go out on my way home and I crash it and I don't have insurance on it. And I say, oh, I forgot I need to call Allstate. And it's after the fact. So that's something that
although your comparison is laughable, we can't laugh at what's going on with these folks that are calling, because we've had, and it's safe for me to say, in the past year and a half, we've had 4 people call that were not members that use deadly force, then try to become members afterwards. That's not how it works. And the worst thing to do is to sit back. There's a lot of people that just listen to our podcast and they say, I'm thinking about doing it next time. But know that if you call after the fact, we're not going to cover you because you're not a member during the time of the incident.
Yeah.
And that's one of those big things, is that, you have to be a member. We can't back pay it. We can't do anything like that. Don't give your friend the number if they're in trouble. They have to be a member if the incident occurred. And that's it's just not funny to me, because like I said, people's lives are being taken, and then you're left, to be by yourself. And it's a very expensive and, emotionally trying process to be, to have the system point the finger at you and say, you're a murderer,
Yeah.
Even if the system doesn't, some civil attorney will. I mean, we just saw a case nationwide where somebody involved in a criminal act was dispatched, and the family suing for $10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I agree with you, Phil. Like, I mean, the civil thing it's a monster, and people take advantage of. There's a lot of ambulance chasers, that are call themselves civil attorneys, but it's that first battle, which is the criminal case,
for your freedom.
The freedom is big. Like, I love my freedom. I'm not gonna lie. I love being free. I had a medical battle in the end of September of 2021, which landed me in the ICU for 5 days. And there was something about them telling me that I couldn't leave. I didn't even like being there, let alone jail. For me, that was jail, because I put so many people in jail over the past 20 some odd years. But it was like, wow, I can't leave. But to be in prison is not a friendly place. And don't mistake that for jail, because sometimes strategically, if you're in a self-defense incident, it's okay to visit jail for a second. Let us get you out, before you run your mouth and say something you should not, that might end you up in prison. So, but you don't want that to make that your home. And then you have to worry about the civil suit, and then they take your real home as well. So it's crazy. Yeah.
There's some of the other things that are out there as well, that even though we're very, very open, it's not like something hidden in the terms. We're hiding it from you, that or even making believe that we're going to cover something, but very simple common sense things. And we had this discussion in the office this week about the numbers annually of firearms that are recovered going through security at TSA, things like that.
Yeah.
As those are just, I just from having routine training and carrying a firearm and doing the things that I do, I know that if they run it through the one machine, they're probably going to get the scent of gunpowder or something. I empty my stuff out completely before we have to make a work trip. I don't have any chance that's left out there, and that's just something that we've all got to be cognizant of, and be responsible gun owners. So
Absolutely. Go ahead, Phil. You got it.
I just was going to say, your favorite backpack, maybe you use it for training or it's at the range or something like that. And I don't know how many times I've been going through it and there's like a loose 9mm shell at the bottom.
yeah,
From clearing a gun, or it's in your pocket or something like that, and it just gets dropped in there. So yeah, when you're doing your carry-on, I literally have to open every little pocket and shake the thing upside down to make sure, because don't want to be that guy, right?
Yeah,
Incidentally.
I ended up, I think I've lost probably about 7 knives accidentally, because
Always the Benchmades or the Spartans or the really good ones, right?
Yeah, always the Benchmade. And so I've lost 7 knives, and just like Phil's talking about, one bullet. I mean, they caught me with a bullet that was just lodged like right down in like a crease, and I didn't see it. And so what I started doing was, like Phil talked about, everybody has their favorite backpack. So I bought two. I bought two of my favorite backpacks. One is for training, and then the other, I put a ribbon on. That's for my travel. So I don't mistake the two. And then that way, it's just one of those things that will keep you from, losing your knives and leaving bullets in it. And, now I'm not going to get busted with a gun, because I really will check for guns and make sure there's no guns in there. But
What about foreign travel? There was a NASCAR driver recently in Mexico and got found with a pistol.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I used to travel to Bermuda because I trained their police department at one time, and back in 2003. And they were giving people, for every loose round, they were given 10 years to do. And I was like, okay, that right there will make you open your eyes up. So I made sure I didn't have any in my foreign travel. But yeah, you have to be careful. But people get kind of lax when it comes down to domestic travel. So they really, I mean, like I said, just get yourself a checkoff list, do anything that you can that, get yourself an extra bag, like I stated, anything that you can to separate your firearm and your training gear from your travel gear.
Is there any coverage with CCW Safe out of the country?
No, sir. No, sir. We kind of stay home because we don't want to mess with anybody else's laws.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard enough with some of these states, here in the United States, but
yeah, I might know about those.
The unfriendly, gun states. But yeah, we keep it home because, this is what we know. These are the attorneys that we know. This is the criminal process that we've grown up with, and being in law enforcement. We have, Don West and the team that he brings forward, just some of the best in the nation.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many attorneys are just across the nation that are great attorneys, great trial attorneys, but just don't specialize in use of force, because that's a specialty. So that's what's, Don West is the blessing for that reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the other things that falls under that kind of the same thing as TSA is any kind of negligent actions with a firearm. That's why you hear Phil and I all the time preaching about training and discipline and, checking your emotions. So negligent discharges and things like that are not covered events. It's one thing if you're gonna call and say, listen, I don't know what direction to go. We always tell our members to notify law enforcement, always be the first to call,
Right.
and self-report. So, but things that are done out of negligence or anything that is unsafe is not a covered incident for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, the accidental discharges, negligent, discharges, or wherever you are in the country and however you call it, those are not the things that it doesn't align yourself with self-defense incidents. So it has nothing to do
So
with
there's a famous video of some guy who's trying to do a quick draw with a 1911 and, has a discharge. He walked towards the camera going, I just shot myself. So he would not have coverage. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, even if you hate yourself so much and you say that this was self-defense against me, that's not gonna happen. So, I mean, just gotta be mindful, like really, if you have not been to safety classes, please go to a safety class,
Absolutely.
find a great instructor that does that, that right there's a foundation. Safety is a foundation, whether you keep your firearms, locked or unlocked, whatever happens at your home, safety's key because, a bullet knows no name.
Right. You say the negligence part, and I think that's maybe something we want to drill down a little bit on. And why wouldn't they cover negligence? So again, I'm the layman here. Well, somebody could say that they accidentally shot X, right? Accidentally, I was cleaning my gun and I accidentally shot X. That would be
Talk about an X or X.
X, something
Okay.
they shouldn't have shot,
All
a
right.
plant on the wall, right? And now there's property damage, whatever it is. But I can see where that would be very dangerous if somebody was nefarious. An accidental discharge, there's a hole in the floor. I get that. Somebody's injured in an accidental discharge. That's something for law enforcement to sort out.
Yeah. And you're right, Phil. I think I can count maybe 2 or 3 of those that we've had where they actually did go through the ceiling, through the floor, and through a wall. So, I mean, we get those, and luckily they didn't go through a person.
Right.
This person was lucky, but that's something that, depending on the agency, they could just make a report and walk away, or they can take you and take your gun. And, that's definitely what you don't want,
Yeah.
not over, being unsafe.
Right.
Another one, another that we get calls on are incidents that result in an arrest, but are not, the arrest is not related to a self-defense.
Correct.
Can you touch on those a little bit for us, Stan?
Yeah. And again, we have to take it back to our foundation, and that is covering critical self-defense incidents. That's what we were designed for. When we, created this model, that's what we wanted to do, is take care of people who had to, defend their lives. That's the worst case scenario, defend your life and you take a life. So of course, sometimes there's secondary charges that go along with that we do cover, because it's part of, the incident, so if it starts off as a self-defense incident, we cover it, if it's a secondary charge. There's only been a few that we have not, in which, we've had we had a self-defense incident in Colorado where a member was also probably double the legal limit of alcohol in his system. When it was a road rage incident, somebody shot out his back window, he shot back at him. And when he pulled the police over, or when he flagged down an officer, he had to deal with the consequences of a DUI.
Right.
So that's not something that we really cover. Now we cover the shooting incident, and we took care of that fine. But he had some past, so he had to deal with that secondary incident. And then there's other things, like what Rob's bringing up is, stuff that's totally outside the scope of coverage, where it has nothing to do with self-defense at all.
Right.
With the exception of, the bonus coverage we give you guys for red flag type incidents. We did start a couple of years ago covering those, and maybe, with the ultimate plan, we cover, like, if your carry firearm is stolen. But different things like that. But everything outside of that, I mean, you get arrested for anything else, we can't help you. That's right. Not what we're designed for. We have attorneys and hire attorneys that deal with self-defense incident, not just regular gun charges where you got caught with a gun that was modified to the point that it was illegal in that state.
No,
Or
or a California thing, you know, you've got a magazine that's capable of more, you know, Chicago has the same thing. You
yeah,
have to
we bought all those during Freedom Week.
yeah, you know, you have to
The
you have
boating accident took the receipts. So
Yeah.
what happens with that? So that's a good question, because you know the sheriff in our county says no more than 10 rounds in your CCW firearm, right? So
Yes.
if somebody had an extended, a normal capacity magazine in that firearm, what happens there?
Now you talk about if it's just a standalone charge or what?
Yeah,
That's
I mean, well, say they're involved in a self-defense action and they ended up having a 15 round magazine in their Glock 19 instead of a 10 round.
yeah, I'm okay with saying this. If it's a self-defense incident and there's a secondary, I'll call that a B charge because it's really kind of a lower charge to us, but misdemeanor or a lower felony charge in reference to a magazine issue. I mean, we're still gonna cover you. Some of those things, and we're not gonna try to push those things apart from the case. So we'll go ahead and cover it. Then I'm not giving you guys,
Right.
permission to go out there and take the
The,
30 round clip and just go with it. But I mean, just we're not going to leave you hanging is what I'm saying, Phil.
that's a great point. But I think the sheriff, because you know, you sign everything, hey, 10 round, 10 round, 10 round on your CCW, I think that they would take umbrage if you were to do that. So they may, you know, make an example of you. The sheriff signs off on your CCW as you're a person of good character, and you say you're going to carry a 10 round magazine. For my Glock 19, I have a C in silver on the bottom of each of my 10 round magazines because that's for carry,
Gotcha.
right? That so
We lose them.
yeah, you froze up, Phil.
So in short, while we're going to get Phil back, it is. I mean, you guys got to know that those who carry guns, you're under attack. You really are, and I'm saying, politically. More so than anything. And some of these, governors, some of these, sheriffs, uh, some of these, politicians are really going after you guys and just trying to find a reason to take your guns away. And you have to, just think about, okay, should I just carry extra mags of 10? That might be your new thing to practice, reloading after you empty it out, versus trying to, carry something extended, so those are the things that you have to practice with. Phil, we lost you for a second. Finish your thought.
sorry about that. So I just was saying that I think that, you know, I don't know where you lost me, but you sign off on that with your CCW. You get a CCW because you're of good character. Then you need to be respectful of the sheriff and carry 10 round magazines, you know, or two, as you just said. Besides that, I think you should always have a secondary magazine just in case you have a malfunction. But what, 99.9% of all self-defense firearms, what, less than 4 rounds fired? Something, incidents less than 4 rounds fired, even in, well, police officers tend to have a little bit more, but most self-defense, nobody empties a magazine, right?
No, you're right. I mean, in most cases, you know, four is actually that's a magic number because it happens so fast.
Yeah.
And there's something about the human body when hot lead enters. It responds in a certain way in most cases. I'm not gonna say everybody drops because it's not like the movies, but it forces them, the body actually starts turn, even the mind doesn't want to, the body starts to turn naturally because it doesn't like what's coming in. Therefore, a lot of people get shot in the back and they say, I shot him in the chest. No, the last 2 rounds went in his back because he turned around. It had nothing to do with you. So it just happens that way. But these things are hard, fast, and then they stop really quick. It seems like a long time because for you, it's probably going in slow motion. But it's a short period of time. It happens fast, happens hard, and it's over.
And it's not like Monty Python and the hand grenade where the magic number is 3, right? Not more, not less.
It's been a long time, Phil. You're dating yourself. I have not watched Mighty Pythons.
Look at my hair, man. It used to be dark when I first met you. Look at this. I got titanium coming out the side of my head.
I think I had hair maybe when I met you.
One of the next items is something that came up actually this week for us, and it's an administrative action by a law enforcement entity related to your firearm that is not a result of a self-defense action. And depending on where you're at, and I know that there is a court ruling that was overturned in the last 2 weeks. But like locally here, if I am arrested for a domestic violence charge, they're going to ask me to surrender my firearms. It's if there's a victim protection order against me, that they're going to ask me to surrender my firearms. There's certain things. And that's one of the things that's very, very important for our members to understand, is that doesn't give you any kind of right to refuse entry into your home or anything like that, because they can obtain search warrants and recover that stuff. So absolutely. The smart thing to do is to just be as cooperative as you can, move forward, address those things through the courts. Address them properly. I've worked cases like that to where they were used kind of as a weapon against one of the involved persons.
Right.
But I also understand the need to have those and have laws like that in place, because you're talking about such things are such emotional things for people, and you don't want that overreaction. So
yeah, I mean, and you said a mouthful right there. And you covered a couple of different things. I'll back up just a second for you. One of the things that Rob is talking about is, well, is it Illinois that's kind of out of control right now?
Yeah.
Is it? So Illinois, those who are members there, I mean, really be mindful. They are taking these secondary charges, right, and coming back because they know that you have a firearm, and making, application to get a warrant to go and confiscate your firearms from secondary charges, right? And it has nothing to do with a red flag type case, correct? Isn't that? I know I'm doing it in a layman's way, but you can probably cover that later. I think we are going to send something out on that, but those cases, and also what Rob is discussing when he's saying, somebody might use it as a weapon. We're talking about your ex-wives, your ex-girlfriends, business partners that you had problems with, that know that you have firearms, and they file, these victim protective orders against you, or these domestic violence things. You have to be mindful with all those, because that doesn't fall in line with us covering you for a red flag incident. It's not a red flag incident. And I'm calling it red flags because that's the tagline for it now. But those type incidents where, they're saying that you're a danger to others, and that you may use your firearm to hurt some people, and they get, a judge to sign off on, law enforcement to come to your home and confiscate your weapons. Rob he's actually right again. You have to cooperate with them. You cannot use force against them, not even physical force, to stop them from coming in your home. Give them the firearms that they're seeking, and then then you have to look for an attorney. Now, it doesn't mean that if you call us up that we won't try to find you a courtesy attorney, but it's not something that we would pay for. You still have to pay for it on your own. So these relationships you have outside of us, meaning your personal relationships, you got to be mindful, of people that might target you or use that against you, because you're going to be on your own again.
And in our system out here in the People's Republic of Occupied California, they can get all of this and come against you without you even knowing it.
Yeah.
So you're not invited, most restraining orders, you're notified there's a hearing, not the firearm restraining order. They decide to come and do a no knock. And, it seems sometimes I guess it's police officers' tactics. I don't understand all of them, but it seems to me you'd be better off catching the guy at a when he's filling up at a gas station, walking up and saying, hey, we're going to do this, as opposed to a no knock at 4 a.m. to a guy you know has firearms. That's just, I don't see why they do these things, but again, that's their tactical call on
Well,
their
believe it or
end.
not, Phil, I mean, because I was on SWAT for 10 years, my last 5 years, we went away from a lot of the no knock warrants for that reason.
Yeah,
It start catching them rolling because it's safer for you to get them away from the home,
exactly.
And I think it's more so, and tell me if I'm wrong, Rob, I think it's more of the sheriff's departments that do stuff like that
Yes,
than city police.
yes.
It's not something that we did here at all, Phil. It's always the sheriff's department that would take care of that type of action. But and then where you are, every sheriff acts independent of each other, correct?
Yep.
It's county for county.
Yeah,
So
and we've got a great. I mean, we have Chad Bianco as our sheriff here in Riverside County in Winterman, California, and he's a great Second Amendment supporter. You guys have probably seen him on the news and stuff. He's absolutely awesome. He's been great with CCWs. I respect the man a lot. But if you live in this county, you're one sheriff's election away from the tables turning on you. I mean, that's the way the political aspect is, especially in the People's Republic of occupied California.
hey, and I'll always like to give tips and stuff as well. But like, if you are concerned and you believe that someone is at your door that is not a police officer, so I'm not going to say that doesn't ever happen where there's somebody just trying to pose as one. Tell them stand by. Say, I'm going to cooperate, but I need you to stand by for a second and call 911. And you figure out what agency they're from and see if this is a legitimate call. And do they have officers or sheriffs at your house? And then that's one way of just kind of verifying before you allow someone in your home. But that's really the main thing I want you to do. Just be mindful, be careful, and just take notes.
Yeah. That kind of covers any other kind of confiscation that was not related to use of force, but is not a red flag incident.
Yes.
A red flag incident is actually an administrative action from the courts. It's typically an order from a judge, and that's how those come about. It's not like somebody just showing up and saying, "Hey, we're here to seize your firearms." Usually, it's the covered things that Stan was talking about are orders from a judge. They're being served by law enforcement with that court order, and full compliance is the only way to respond with those things. Other things are coverages or incidents that occur outside your coverage area. We have a lot of competitors that will cover you in your home state. And if you want additional coverage beyond the borders of your home state, that's an additional charge. We don't charge extra. We just cover you for whoever you have
Your permit with, yeah. So
yeah,
yeah.
just
And
lost
you have reciprocity.
Yes,
so
reciprocity.
That's what you were searching for. But yeah, so we cover where you have reciprocity, and here's the important thing that you need to. It's going to be an important take from this discussion in reference to traveling with your firearm. And I'm talking about by car.
Yes,
you will be covered where you have reciprocity. These are the things that you need to know before you get in the car and drive anywhere with your firearm outside of your own state. You need to know which states are friendly to my state, which state, actually cover my permit. And then also find the ones that will allow you to drive through and have no issues with you being there if they are a, constitutional carry state or one of those type states. So you need to figure out your map and map yourself through those friendly states and kind of avoid the other ones, because, if you are, and if you do find yourself there, then make sure it's locked properly. There's several, apps and stuff that I think concealedcarry.com does that, right?
he's got a great site on that.
Carry.com, they have a great app. He's one of our partners as well. Jacob over there, that they produce an app that, tells you, if you have to, notify an officer if you get pulled over, where you have reciprocity, how you need to travel with your firearm, how it needs to be either in a container or not, or locked or separated from your magazine and such. So make sure you do your homework before you travel, because it is important. But know that if you're in a state where you don't have reciprocity and you get into an incident, that's outside of your coverage. Now, we'll probably still, because you're a member, help you find an attorney in that out of coverage area, but it's not something that we would pay for. We already know that there's unfriendly states like New Jersey for us. Washington State, we actually do cover Washington, D.C. Washington State is unfriendly to us.
New York.
And New York for citizens, we cover law enforcement there, but only law enforcement packages, no citizens.
Right. So one of the things, California, again, doesn't play nice with anybody. So there's zero reciprocity. If you have a California CCW only, you're California only, unless you're going to a constitutional carry state like Arizona.
Yeah.
But let's say you're going to go to Denver, Colorado, or whatever, you're going to go hunting this fall. So you hop on the 15 and you cut right through the desert, no big deal. You got your CCW, then you cut through a little piece of Arizona, and all of a sudden you're in Nevada, right through Vegas.
Yeah.
And Vegas does not have reciprocity with California. So, I mean, you're just traveling to a place that might have constitutional carry. And in the meantime, one little corner, a very highly populated area you're in, your trip could stop right there. And
then, Phil, real quick, like this is when you have to like really use your head, right? Because it's like, okay, that little piece that's unfriendly, that's when I know I have to do the speed limit, right? So you do those things, do the speed limit. If somebody cuts you off and gives you the finger, don't get involved in the road rage there. These are the things which you shouldn't anyway with something like that. But, a lot of people get in trouble because they believe because I have a firearm, I'm going to act any way I want. And sometimes it's not really a mature way to be when you have a firearm, and it could get you arrested. We have a lot of issues with road rage and brandishing in the state of California. Hey, side note, we got a big win in Los Angeles County just recently. So with a shooting incident, and we're really proud of that one. Very surprised because how sometimes
it's very short. Didn't take a lot of time for that either, did it?
No, it didn't take a lot of time for that. We can't really talk about it yet, but when we do, I mean, it's an important case. But we really do a good job with your legal strategy, because we help the local attorneys, and Don West will sit with them and work on your legal strategy, and those things help. Now, back onto the conversation. You have to really be mindful when you go through these unfriendly states and do everything you can do in the law to just get through it. If you're going to, even like you choose to stop for meals, that's not the spot to stop, because you can't control what other people do. Somebody else can come up and, really challenge you, the aggressive panhandler. Somebody might try to rob you. They might come in and rob the place, whatever the case may be. Be careful and be mindful when you going through those states.
In California, one of the things the other people are doing is you're able to get other CCWs, like the one that covers Utah and Arizona, and that gives you like 37 different states.
Right.
So let's talk about that. So if somebody lives in California and their primary CCW or their residence is California, but they have an additional CCW license that covers other states, how does that affect you guys?
We're really friendly when it comes to that. If you have multiple permits, we cover your multiple permits. So if you're covering 37 states, we cover you in 37 states.
That's awesome.
No issues. Now, and let me back up too, because people, we always forget this, and this is so important. We're just talking firearms now, right? But if for some reason you had to use some other type of force to defend your life, yeah, a cement squirrel, some scissors or whatever, to defend your life, but you're not using your firearm, that's still an incident that we actually cover you on that.
Right.
Not telling you to go out there and butcher anyone, but but know that, we do cover you. I mean, that's the same thing for when you travel, when we cover you in motels, hotels, RVs. You know, we don't bring this stuff up too often, but it's important for those who travel to know that we take care of you just as if you're at home, as long as you're in some of these states.
Right.
If you
Um,
tie two cement squirrels together, is that a nunchuck, or how does that qualify? Is that
It's a nut chuck. Stop it.
you stop it. You already touched on it, Stan, about New Jersey and Washington State, but we do get this question pretty frequently that no, I don't live there, but I'm just traveling.
Yeah,
But
it's the same thing.
the answer is no, we don't cover it.
No, I mean, we just said that, New Jersey is really unfriendly. And, I was born in Jersey. They are so unfriendly
Yeah.
that we can't even operate in that state. So we don't operate, we don't sell, memberships. We do not, service anyone in that state. They just don't allow us. And there's nothing wrong with our product. It's just New Jersey's unfriendly.
This one should go without saying, but unfortunately, it's something we do have to say. If your action is criminal in nature,
yeah,
that's automatically not a covered incident.
Yeah, and then and don't let these competitors trick you in the way, because there's some new lawyers out there saying that, hey, they say they don't cover criminal acts. We're absolutely not talking about what's associated with your
Self-defense act?
We're
It's
not talking about what somebody has charged you with. But if you decide to do a burglary, a bank robbery, a drive-by shooting, any of these happy felonies that we don't want to associate with, we're not going to cover you, So it has nothing to do with, just if somebody charged you with murder. We were the first in the nation to defend a murder charge against a member. And I'm talking about first in the nation as in all of our competitors as well. And we defended it well. And in that particular case with Stephen Maddox, you had not only did you have the police said he was guilty, you had the prosecutors, investigators, all of them, the entire line, aligned him with murder. And we fought that case and we won.
Yeah.
So, it has nothing to do with that. But, you really have to walk away from anything illegal. And and you guys need to be proud of us, because it keeps the gang members, all these other folks from being involved with a group that you're involved with. Like we really see ourselves in, when we look across the board, although everybody's going to do what they will do, they will absolutely cover you in the way that they say they're going to do it. But it's kind of the difference between some of them, like Honda's, buying a Honda, buying a Ford and buying a Porsche. We are really high caliber, and we deliver that service with professional. We don't try to sell you things. We're not gimmicky. We don't bother you. We're not trying to give away guns and do all these things.
not multi-level.
No, we're not doing that. We're going to cover you like you need to be covered, and cover like we want to be covered as well.
Yes.
That's how we were designed. That's why we disrupted the industry. But go ahead, Rob.
If you are the aggressor in an incident, it's really hard to get anybody to buy into something being a self-defense when you are the one that is leading the charge. So
yeah,
touch on that.
That one there, that one hurts. And I say it hurts in that we say this over and over again, that you have to be a victim, right? You can't call yourself a victim if you're the aggressor, So this is what I'll say, and the thing that gets people, it's this, I showed him my gun because he cut me off, and he said I pointed at him, but I didn't, or I got out the car and I pointed my firearm at him and his wife, and it's like, what the F are y'all doing? Like, really? Stop being so aggressive and figure it out, because it has to be you, because the incident doesn't call for it, but you step into it and saying, okay, I was in fear for my safety. There's a really big difference between being in fear for your safety and being in fear for your life. Okay. And we cover incidents where you're in fear for your life mostly. Okay. And now there's some other ones, of course, we do the lower things as well. But please know that just because you didn't fit, but you felt unsafe You know, a lot of people just, you know, teaching you to say that. That sounds like some bad trainers just telling you to say the right things. You have to do the right thing, and you
Yeah.
can't be the aggressor.
Yeah, easy enough.
You can't kick the hornet's nest and then
No,
claim self-defense.
Correct. People would be shocked to know that we do this, but we do. There are times where we have a member call in with something and their actions are so egregious, so over the top, that it's not even wise for us to continue to do business with them.
Yeah. Yes, we've had some of those.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you're talking about things that hadn't even caused a charge yet, right? Or haven't had an incident, just someone's behavior on the side.
Some people
Some
have
have, some haven't.
charges. It's about 50-50 feel, really. Like I'll give you, for instance, because this man is gone. Like when it comes across my desk, and it's because I usually make that call. You know, you have a gentleman that's tired of the kids laughing when they go by his home in the school bus. So he steps out of on the porch and he shoots at the school bus because he's tired of them. It's obvious that there's something wrong with that person and that he should not be aligned with our service. And I sent him on his way and gave him a full refund because we don't play that. We don't have people do crazy stuff and think that you can be covered like that. I mean, you are so. I mean, and that one there was more criminal than anything. But you know,
you think you can't
it's
shoot
a
at school
real,
buses full of
it's a
kids? I don't
real
know.
call. It's a real call. You'd be surprised some of these things that we get.
Yep.
But on the lower side of it, you know, I mean, there's things that you can do where you place yourself, you know, really as a suspect, and I can't see how they don't see it. But you are a suspect when you are this, you know, aggressive and you take some stances and you put your hands on people and you do other things that you should not. But we get them. So that one we don't have to spend too much time on, Rob. It's like, yo, use your head, people. You know, the majority of our members, I absolutely love you guys because we don't have to deal with that. And that's the other beautiful thing about CCW Safe is that in the way that we market, our members are smarter, right? Some of the other ones that are the lower end carriers, please go to those other companies. And they do, you know, they fall for the gimmicks. We're not gimmicky because we want the people to do their research, know that, you know, we're the most experienced, know that we give the best benefits, know that we have a great track record. And it's hard to find anything bad about us on the internet. So we're really proud of our what we do. And every member is not for us. So that's what I'm saying.
No, and you know, that's part of being exclusive. It protects the company, so you have the assets to defend the people you need to, because you're not spending time and energy defending people who are indefensible with their actions.
It's also being a good steward for the rest of our members who
That's what I
are
mean. Yeah.
right things. That is absolutely the biggest thing right there, is that we're not wasting time on a bunch of clowns out there that are using this as a license to act out. So
Yeah.
once they've shown that side of them, they're done. And I've just always been so proud that I work for a bunch of men that go, no, give him all his money back. Just refund him completely and tell him to go on down the road. It's not about the dollar, it's about the service. And that's a really big deal.
Oh, really, Rob? And just to piggyback your thought, you know, I'm like Alexa, that's what I'm saying. I love our members. But we go over and beyond the call of duty, even if it's something that's not a benefit sometimes, and you can get this from testimonies and people that work with us. We'll say, okay, you know, although we don't really cover that, let's put this man up in a hotel for a week. You know, if he has some security, you know, concerns.
Yes.
Let's send our guys out there and kind of recon and see if there's, you know, any unfriendlies, and then try to take care of them and make sure that he and his family, we not just take care of you, we take care of your family as well. So although we don't market that, we don't put that in benefits, we take you on as our family members when you make that phone call.
Yeah.
And you don't lose us for years.
Another thing is we are not your point of reference for your family members that are not members. And we get those calls way more than I ever would have dreamt. But hey, my brother was involved in this incident and he's not a member, but can you at least point us in the right direction and maybe get us an attorney or something?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that one's an easy one. I mean, anybody that hears us talking about it's going to understand that's not me, because I mean it'd be nice if we can like open up, and we're not a law firm, so we can't just kind of pick and choose attorneys do that. We hire expert attorneys to handle your self-defense incidents, but you have to be a member. Again, that falls back on one of the first ones we stated. You have to be a member to get service. And those that has been on borderline or try to become a member afterwards, doesn't work that way. Those who, attorney referrals, we can't just do that. We can't spend time. Don is too important to us to have to do referrals for family members. He's too important. He needs to be there for the people that have actually used force or used deadly force. We got to be there for that. Go ahead, Phil.
Well, I'm just saying the other part is because you're not an insurance company, the only thing you can do legally is help members. You can't extend outside. There's a whole different provision for the corporate structure on that it's all services are member driven only, which allows you to provide a lot better service than if you were an insurance company of some kind.
Absolutely. And you're right there. You hit it right on the head, because the power of us not being an insurance company, and CCW Safe is insured, the members are not insured. They are beneficiaries of our benefit member service, right? So we're able to extend the high caliber service that we have and be there for them. And also that's why we can move our numbers around. You can't do that with being attached to insurance companies in the way that most of our competitors are. You also have an issue with, because they always push on civil liability and this and that, civil defense, civil liability. Well, the civil case also, please know that, because if you deal with insurance at all, know that when an insurance company presents an attorney, they're working on behalf of the company, not the member. We hire you civil attorneys that work on behalf of the member, not the company. Totally different.
Yeah. And one of the other things that kind of is just a information thing only. It's not anything that requires any kind of action or inaction and that's just a report from members, a call just to let us know that this occurred. There's no arrest. There's no need for services. It's just an information report only.
Yeah, we get those now, and then Rob, it's about 50-50. Some of them, if it is an incident that could call for the police to come out, possibly, like a display of a weapon, that happens a lot. So so those are the ones that we get where say I displayed my gun, but the guy ran off, or this and that. I thought something was happening, but I was wrong about it. So I holstered. I don't think they called the police. We'll leave those open. I mean, we don't work them immediately, but we'll file the claim on it, and we'll leave it open just in case something happens down the road. We at least know you were notified. And speaking of notification, please, you have to notify us of the incident. If not immediately, within the first 48 hours, that's where we can kind of help. That's that special place. Don't do something and then come back to us 8 months later and say, oh yeah, this happened, or I shot somebody and I thought it was gonna be all right. We've had those. I thought it was gonna be all right, and they came back and they filed charges on me. You have to be careful. If you have any contact with police like that, if you have to use some type of force, let us know. Rob said it early on. I'm gonna say it again. Be the first one to call 911. Police across the nation see the first person to call is the victim. If a suspect does something to you and runs off and says, this guy's pointing a gun at me, he's just crazy, you're the suspect. You're not the victim. Now you got to undo all that. because we've had some of those as well. So make sure you call first. It's very important.
You know,
Well, and
one of
you
the, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Rob. Sorry. So go ahead. I can wait.
Well, you were talking about that window, call us, let us know quickly. That good conclusion that we had recently in Los Angeles was absolutely a result of being able to get out there and get in front of it and start working the thing before something kind of blew up into something bigger than what it was, because it was a horrible incident for our member, but his response was lawful. It was just, it was appropriate, and he did all of the right things after that. And he even, it was even something that, he spent a night in jail for doing the right thing, but the end result was the result that he needed for his life, and it's the result that we wanted to have for him, because it was a good self-defense case.
Yeah,
And that wasn't that in LA County?
was.
Yes.
So, which has one of the worst district attorneys as far as Second Amendment is concerned, right? Gascon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you have a situation there, you absolutely have to have coverage, because you saw what they tried to do to this guy.
Yes. And then, in speaking on that, Phil, that's why I said that's such a big win, right?
Mhm.
Because, I mean, you're in an unfriendly state. You have a
Unfriendly state, unfriendly county, unfriendly city,
unfriendly city.
trifecta.
And we did boots on the ground, literally. Rob and Gary went out there to service the member within 24 hours and helped him through this case. There was a couple of lessons learned there. He was smart enough to give the emergency number to his girlfriend, who helped us get the initial information. Because sometimes if you get in the back of a police car, they're not going to allow you to use the phone. Use the phone quickly, get on with 911 and get off with 911. Get on with us so you can start your service. If you don't, and if something happens to you, make sure your spouse, a family member, or girlfriend, boyfriend has the information so that they can give us the information to start. And in that particular case too, we ended up having Don West fly out and help the attorney through, drafting something prior to a charging decision. And that's kind of why we got ahead of that one. It was before they made a decision to charge him. He was arrested for it, and difference between arrested for something and charged with something, So before a charging decision was made from the DA's office, we went ahead and got on it, and we were able to show that it was, a self-defense incident on paper, so through the legal means. So we did our thing out there, and I'm proud of Don. I'm proud of Rob and Gary for doing what they did. Especially as dangerous as Los Angeles is, you better take your gun.
Especially where we were at.
I can't believe you hanging out over there in that dangerous area. But yeah, but a whole lot of lessons learned. So we're pretty happy, man. We're awesome. I know we come up on the hour now, and we probably need to put.
I wanted to bring up just one other thing. The fact that you are not an insurance company. So let's say that I was unfortunately involved in a self-defense weapons charge, and everything is okay. They drop it all the way down to, okay, he had a high capacity magazine misdemeanor. And it's like, why quit fighting this? So what? It's $100 fine, take it and move on, right? So you take that plea. If it is an insurance company, what happens to that person in that situation?
They usually drop you. And if not, they'll jack. I mean, if you have the answer, tell me.
My understanding is if they've paid for your self-defense and then you cop a plea, then they recoup the money that they spent on that.
So what you're talking about, how some of these other organizations operate and with their recoupment clauses, for them to operate and being attached to an insurance company, because an insurance company cannot fund
a willful act.
Yeah, a willful act. So, in doing so, in the criminal act as well, in doing so, you have to state that company will give you the money, and if they pay $250,000, $400,000 for your case, if it's a death case, and you have to take a plea, you have to pay all that money back. And, you know, it's kind of shameful. We don't do that. There's no reimbursement with our company because we're not attached to like that. We don't have recoupment clauses because we're not attached to insurance companies. So, I mean, we really designed this thing well to be here for a long time and to be able to take care of you in the proper way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Rob, you want to do takeaways or what you got?
Yeah, Phil, what you have any takeaways from today's show, bud?
Yeah, my best part of my show is Stan Campbell. That's where I'm at.
You don't have many friends like me, Phil. You don't have many friends like me. I'm gonna say it just like that.
Actually, it's growing.
It's growing. Okay, good.
Yeah.
How about you, Stan?
Hey guys, for me, I mean, I did a lot of talking, but my greatest takeaway is what I have listed on my my quote on my email, which is operate in the same way you would if you did not carry a firearm.
Yeah.
When you're carrying one. And what I mean by that is don't let that boost your ego and push you into making mistakes.
It's not a superpower.
They're costly.
Yeah, good stuff. It's important. You guys got to know what you know. We provide an awful lot of stuff, but you have your own obligations to stay in alignment with your coverage. So that's a really big deal. That's kind of why we wanted to share these things with you, let you know how to get the most service for your membership. And as always, our biggest thing is for you guys to be safe. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. We thank you guys for paying attention to us. As always, I always welcome every question, comment, concern, complaints about Phil that you have. You can reach me directly at rob@ccwsafe.com. So thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
God bless. See you guys.